Mr. President, Your Excellency John Dramani Mahama, Vice President, His Excellency Kwesi Bekwai Emisa Atta, Madam Speaker and Honorable Members of Parliament, Chairman and Members of the Council of State, Your Excellencies former Presidents John Jerry Rawlings, President J.A. Kufuor, former Vice President Alhaji Aliyu Mahama, Nananum, distinguished kings, chiefs, and their respective elders, the diplomatic corps in Ghana and the world, fellow Ghanaians, ladies and gentlemen, accept my condolence on the departure of His Excellency President Evans Atta Mills. He was truly a father. Last September 2011, our hope to seek audience with the late President, Professor Mills, was deliberately refused us, and himself denying some possibilities to have heard directly from a displaced Ghanaian diplomat, with whom his presidency had communicated severally, including a personal telephone call. Vulnerable as September seems to be for most diplomats, September 2012 became our next targeted time for a more public protestation in New York to seek attention. Since no press release or communication yields the attention necessary for a diplomat claiming protection from the very government for which his life was threatened. Not even radio discussions warranted the care to rescue a homeless Ghanaian diplomat. The passing of His Excellency Evans Atta Mills, therefore, became a double agony to me and my displaced family in our quest for fairness, freedom, and justice from the Republic of Ghana. In honor of his passing and legacy as an honorable leader, and indeed in respect to the grieving former Vice President and our newly sworn President, John Dramani Mahama, we coiled back our protestations. May our passing President and all those who passed before and after him, as we languish in exile, rest in perfect peace. One thing is certain, but for the fatherly concerns and care for the late President, a lot would have gone worse for us, and the presidency might never even have communicated with me as a distressed Ghanaian diplomat. Even so, in passing, we see in President Mills a true Ghanaian leadership worth emulation across our perceived dark continent. He was a light and a shining one, as such he remains. Our grief notwithstanding, the struggle for fairness, freedoms, and justice never expires. It did not expire with our ancestors who were forcefully taken into slavery. It did not expire when blacks fought against discrimination in Europe, North America, and the Caribbean. People's fight for fairness did not expire for those slaves on the Amistad. The quest for fairness continues in independent and unified South Africa for both blacks and whites. These fights for fairness never expired as we fought for independence and seeking economic prosperity. Yet, fairness was denied us by our country, Ghana, the Black Star of Africa, when it celebrated 50 years. Ghanaians then acknowledged the essence of our independence banner, freedom and justice. But as a nation, Ghana watched its diplomat ridicule, displaced, abandoned, and threatened with death just for his genuine service and perhaps his cultural origin and religion from the hands of a serial abuser. The abuses of Ghanaians by His Excellency Dr. Bafo Adjei-Bewar, then ambassador at Ghana's mission in Tokyo, Japan, are adequately recorded as committed under the flag of the Republic of Ghana. This even Shraj, claims it cannot handle. This is when government is most needed. A deliberate attempt to arrogantly and repeatedly disrupt the social mobility against particular people in specific regions and with a common fate in our country is unfortunate and worrying. We can strengthen our nation only with a strong moral responsibility when each acts as a brother's keeper in a strong and unified Ghana. Can we say putting a female official secretary in one's matrimonial bed caring for the brethren? Can we say human traffic is patriotism? Do we consider sexually abusing these victims of human trafficking Ghanaian? Do you consider administrative abuses, denials and financial sabotages as service to the homeland? Must someone retired take salary while he denies others at work days? If you said yes to any question above, then you can vote Dr. Ajebewa as next President of the Republic of Ghana, because you are about to hear him admit it all. None of these attributes in code are tribal, religious, political, or even reasonable for human sanity. The victims had a common characteristics which their subjugator attacked always. Ghana. Our tolerance for years is no weakness. We will remain sane until our adversaries are insane. Those losses, however, are now too much to bear. To call but few lost sympathizers of our cause: Abdul Majid Umar Sanda, aka Aqua, Muhammad Umar Sanda, aka Babalami, Mr. and Mrs. Henry and Sophia Abrukwa of Solpo, Amina and her mother, Hajia Adiza Audukin of Boku, the numerous sisters, brothers and friends, then a father of the nation, late President Professor Mills, they stand with us, but are no more. We were robbed the joy of Ghana at 50 and are about to miss the company of friends and alumni of Boku Secondary School at Bosco at 50. The time for explaining, spinning and finger pointing is running out. We shall no more allow the conspirators of our doom to be in their best game, their words against our words. We shall put out the words of our adversaries against themselves. Thence we shall release all the necessary and any available materials to the public to know, to prove our innocence and those of other victims in a bid for a closure. Varied as we are victims, it is certain I was targeted, humiliated, defrauded, abandoned abroad, and threatened with contract killers not to return home because of my cultural origin, religion, and whatsoever vulnerabilities. Unfortunately, state, ministry, department, and/or agency officials and means were deliberately misused to torture our conscience and threaten our lives. A reason why we are in this excruciating exile raising a daughter, the fourth of our 4 children, who was forcefully employed at 2 years, now asks, where is Ghana? A daughter who was denied simple bed for almost a year after the purchase of investment items, including furniture, was approved, but monies designated never utilized because Ambassador Dr. Ajebewa so desired to torture us, until her sister started to rehearse going to school with an oversized backpack. This daughter thought life was just home because no one schooled for more than a year at post. This was a family dispatched as diplomats to serve their country, Ghana, a nation considered the Mecca to freedom fighters, the gateway to African democracy and the rule of law. Our subservience, quiet, restraint and respect to Ghana, which cannot be overemphasized, is justified. In no doubt, for the oath of office, we will sacrifice further for our country, but not in the quiet anymore. As and when the world hears us loud and clear, those death threats will become unnecessary. We shall have closure, and our children will adequately understand the reasons they still must think as Ghanaians. Otherwise, death would be peaceful as usual, now that my children reasonably know their father better. A father who stood by them irrespective of their difficulties, as they did when they were employed for duty, denied every customary and departmental option. This is when citizens need governance, and we expect government at least to understand this cry is fake or not. It is honorable to be a Ghanaian and to serve my country as we raise another generation of Ghanaians in exile, living in a great nation without the pride of citizenship as diplomats in exile. Countrymen, your cultural diversities and political preferences do matter, but do vote your conscience, because we still have decent political leadership and candidates. However, as teachers, workers and soldiers, single mothers and those students walking to school, particularly those of you carrying gari in your pockets, mouth or down the throat, as we speak, you are not alone. In whatever situation we find ourselves down, those meandering reptile-infested footpaths to school were my best decisions. As a Ghanaian, you may share the same religious faith with me or not, but as a Muslim, I love you as I do to the mother of my 4 children, my Christian spouse. You may hail from another corner of Ghana, but you are my brother, a sister, or a mother, father, or an uncle, and a Ghanaian friend of all kinds, for God's sake. This is how I serve Ghanaians. In the same vein, I expect you to accept the materials I'm putting out, as they may appear wherever, with the feeling that you could be next targeted, tortured, abandoned, and or threatened citizen of Ghana. It is enough and enough to be in the quiet. Thank you. May Allah bless our homeland Ghana. Alhaji Isaka Isifo, Ghanaian diplomat in exile. Thank you.